Hola, soy yo, Vicky, otra vez, y Tia también. So I'm being accompanied by Tia, Princess Tia, the German Shepherd today. Okay, so it's the last Friday of the month. And on the last Friday of the month, I do a live just explaining something. If you're a member, you can send me questions in anything about either living in Spain or Spanish, about anything if you remember. And I'll answer your questions in the special live that I'll do on the last Friday of every month. Special video for my members, but anyone can watch the video, but only the members can ask questions. So I've got two things to talk about today. But first of all, why not become a member? It's only $2.99 a month. It's cancelable anytime. It gives you discount on Spanish classes. It means you can ask these questions. It means you get to use the special members emojis, etc. So I want to say thank you to those of you who have become members. Thank you to subscribers. Thank you to everyone who likes my videos. And thank you to everyone who's bought me a coffee or sent a super sticker, or any way you've supported my channel. Thank you so much. So I hope you find it useful for learning Spanish. And of course, I do put crime videos on there now because people seem to quite like those as well. So I've sort of ended up with this mixture of learn Spanish and English channel and watch some true crime videos at the same time. So anyway, I hope it seems to interest people. The subscribers are growing, watch time is growing. So thank you. And if there's anything, as I say, if you remember, you can suggest topics for videos, etc. So the first thing we're going to talk about today is a request from a member, which was, what about Tenerife? What's it like to live in Tenerife? Now, my own personal opinion of Tenerife is it's not the sort of place I would like to go, but then I've never been there. So, it's not a place that I would go on holiday because I live in Spain, and to me, it would just seem, what's the word, like a busman's holiday to go to Tenerife on holiday when I already live in Spain. But of course, it's an extremely popular holiday destination. And not only that, it's popular for people. There's a lot of people live there. But, to me, I think my opinion of Tenerife, if you like, has been coloured by some sort of bad things that have happened to British people in Tenerife, one way or another. But anyway, we're not going to talk about any bad things today. We're going to look at the positives of Tenerife. Now, as I say, I don't actually know that much myself about Tenerife, so I've had to Google it, and I've found the Lost Flip Flops website, moving to Tenerife, pros and cons of living in Tenerife. So we're going to have a look at that because I don't know enough myself about living in Tenerife. I think we need to, I need to get some sort of expert opinion on it. So, I mean, of course, first pro, if you like, is it's warm, isn't it? And Tenerife has a very nice climate all the year round. It's quite windy though, isn't it? I believe in Tenerife. I've been to Lanzarote, I've been to the Canary Islands, but I have not been to Tenerife. So are you thinking of moving to a warmer climate or living on an island? If so, you should consider moving to Tenerife. It's the biggest and most visited of the 7 Canary Islands, a Spanish archipelago in the Atlantic Ocean. Oh, so it's in the Atlantic, so the sea will be cold. That's the Atlantic Sea is completely different to the Mediterranean Sea. Although the Canary Islands politically belong to Spain, geographically they're part of the African continent, since they're closer to Africa than the European continent. And most of the, all the Canary Islands are like that. The climate that is different because of that. As someone who lived in Tenerife for 1 year, I believe I can show you some good and bad sides of this beautiful island. Here are the pros and cons of moving to Tenerife. So the first pro, of course, is the climate. It would be the climate, wouldn't it? You can't argue with the climate. The island of the eternal spring. The island enjoys consistent weather, pleasant temperature all year round. So even if you're not thinking of going living there, it is a good place to go on holiday if you're looking for because sometimes it's a bit hit and miss in mainland Spain. We will have a nice climate now, right up to, because I live on mainland Spain. We will have a nice climate right up to Christmas now. Probably we might have the odd storms here and there, but generally I always think that the weather's nice up to December, just past Christmas here on mainland Spain. And then in January, then it does go cold. It gets really cold. But, it's only a couple of months. However, Tenerife and the Canary Islands, they do have a more consistent climate. Pleasant temperature all year round, Mediterranean subtropical climate with summer temperatures between 24 degrees and 33 degrees and winter temperatures between 18 and 21. That's perfect, isn't it? I love the 18 to 21 centigrades. They're my perfect temperatures. Today on my computer, it says it's 28 degrees here. My son's just gone off to the beach with his friends. They'll spend the day on the beach. It is still hot here, but it's quite cool in the evenings and in the mornings. But of course, we are at the end of September, and it's a relief, to be honest, because the summer's awful. So there are multiple microclimates on the island, so you'll need clothes for different seasons. The first time I visited San Cristobal de la Laguna, only 7 kilometers from Santa Cruz, I experienced a big temperature change in a short distance. The temperatures in La Laguna can be 3 to 6 degrees lower than in Santa Cruz. So yeah, it's worth researching which part of Spain you're going to if it's holidays as well. So the southern part of the island apparently is warmer and less windy than the northern one. The island of Tenerife usually has a cloud-free sky due to the wind which blows across the Atlantic. It rarely rains, and when it does, it's usually just a light rain. October is considered the wettest month of the year. I think that's true in Spain as well, mainland Spain. I think October we do tend to have the most rain. However, there's a big disadvantage of the weather in Tenerife known as Calima. It's a hot wind from the Sahara that brings dust and sand, and it can happen anytime. This is the main reason why you'll not be able to see as far as usual. The temperatures become higher and the humidity falls rapidly, so it's necessary to drink a lot of water and stay hydrated. Now, we don't get it very often here, the Calima. But I've noticed over the last few years, we've had it more, I think. And actually the sand hanging in the sky, like really weird orange skies that I've never seen in all the 20 odd years that I've lived on mainland Spain. So it is horrible, that Calima. It is horrible. So if they get that more in Tenerife, because obviously they're nearer to Africa, that's probably quite unpleasant. The cheap life. Everything is cheaper in Tenerife than in other places in the European Union. Of course, as long as you avoid the touristy places, though they're probably quite cheap, but try and avoid the touristy places and go to some of the more local places. Yeah, visit typical restaurants known as guachinches, which serve traditional homemade food, local wine. Many of these are far from the main road and aren't easily accessible. Sometimes Google Maps will not work, so you need to ask locals for directions. I would never rely on Google Maps when you're in these kind of places. In Spain, I think, some of you'll have seen the Jay Slater case we were covering, probably trying to use Google and got lost. Do not try and use Google Maps, please. So although it's not easy to reach guachinchas. It's worth the effort. You'll get big amounts of delicious homemade food, and you'll be even happier that when you realize that what you need to pay is a bargain. Lunch or dinner for 2 people around €15. At a regular restaurant, you need to spend a little bit more, between 20 and €25, but it's still less than most places. Transportation. This lady or man recommends that you buy a car, rent or buy a car to reach rural. The bus service won't be brilliant. Fuel prices are low as well as car rentals, so it can be cheaper than using public transportation. Certainly more reliable. If you prefer to travel by bus, if you're a resident and under 30, you can get the Young Travellers monthly season ticket, €30, unlimited travel by tram or bus. If you're over 30, you need to go buy a single ticket for each journey or get a virtual wallet. Renting an apartment. Finding a cheap apartment depends on many factors. In the city centre of Santa Cruz, you can find a 1-bedroom apartment for about €700. That seems like a lot, but of course, all apartment prices have gone up because of this Airbnb. This is why Spanish people are getting angry about tourists, not the tourists themselves, but it's pushing up the prices of apartments because a lot of people that used to rent places out at low rents. Your typical rent used to be about €400 for a flat, but now if it's going up to 700 is a lot, isn't it? And then it says a 2-bedroom apartment anywhere between 800 and 1,000. Anyway, once you find your apartment, you'll have to sign a 1-year contract and have to pay a deposit equivalent to 1 month's rent. I personally would not recommend that you buy immediately. Rent first, make sure you like the area, because once you buy, you might find it difficult then to sell again. Fresh tropical fruits. The thing I love most about Tenerife is all kinds of fresh tropical fruits at every market. The island is well known for its banana plantations, which you can see everywhere. What I noticed when I went to Lanzarote, the tomatoes, because they're grown in the volcanic soil, oh my God, they are to die for. Endless sandy beaches, mountain ranges. Now, don't go near the mountain ranges, please. Anyway, I wouldn't recommend that, but each their own. Some people like hiking, etc. So it's a pleasant experience exploring Tenerife. Natural wonders, breathtaking landscapes, long sandy beaches, mountain ranges, flowers, and the amazing Teide volcano, which of course was nearby where Jay came to grief. With so many things to do in Tenerife, you'll never run out of new places to discover. Outdoor activities, swimming, climbing Mount Teide, relaxing on beaches, water sports. Travelling between the islands is easy and cheap. It's a perfect base for island hopping. 2 airlines flying between the islands, Binta and Canary Fly. But if you prefer boat, you can choose one of 2 companies, Fred Olsen and Naviera Armas, which operate between Tenerife and other Canary Islands. There's discount. The best thing about becoming a resident in Tenerife is you will be eligible for a 75%. Oh my God, a 75% discount on all air and ferry travel between the Canary Islands and between the archipelago and mainland Spain. Discounts on hotels also, museums, attractions, high quality healthcare. Now, Spanish healthcare in general is rated amongst the world's best, and Tenerife is a good example, it says, of extraordinary medical and aesthetic services. As an expat, you are entitled to free state healthcare if you are a resident, employed, or a resident receiving unemployment benefits, a pensioner, under 26 and studying in Spain, a child resident in Spain, a resident in Spain and a relative of an insured person staying temporarily in Spain and having an EHIP card. definitely the healthcare is good. So there are all the pros. The pros. Pros, the cons. Island life is slow, can be boring. This is typical all over Spain. You'll be waiting in line for things. If you want something now, it doesn't happen in Spain. But if you're older, you'll probably like the island life. You may find it's too touristy, but that's just the same anywhere in Spain. But that is in like July and August and Christmas, Easter, but not really the rest of the time. You have to take the good with the bad. You get the touristy time, and you just have to hide away when that's going on. And then you've got the rest of the year to enjoy it. That's what I always think. July and August, I hide away in the house. Too many tourists, it's too hot, I whinge about everything, complain. But at the end of the day, that's 2 months out of every year. The rest of the year is, you go to the beach and it's lovely and quiet. You go in restaurants and they're quiet. Not too quiet, but not packed. So you just have to take the good with the bad. Island fever. After just a few months of living here, I felt stuck on the island and I just wanted to get away. Although I used to go to the Spanish mainland every month, it wasn't enough. It's frustrating that you can't just take a car and get away. Instead, you need to travel by plane or boat. Well, that's a bit like England, really, isn't it? But of course, England is bigger. But, you can't get away, you can't leave England or Britain without getting on you can get in a car and go on the ferry or whatever, but you know what I'm saying. It is an island too. So we do have an island mentality. The nightlife isn't so good. And this person's saying the nightlife in the capital of Tenerife is the worst I've seen. Only a few nightclubs in the city. I always think of Tenerife as the nightlife would be like, for young people, would be brilliant. Anyway, they say no, but they say there are many good nightclubs in the south of the island. There are only a few nightclubs in the capital of Tenerife, such as Cinemas Copas and Teresa Isla del Mar, and they have a bad atmosphere. However, you can see, according to this person, there are more pros than cons of moving to Tenerife. It's a beautiful island and one of the best places to live in Europe because of its affordability, pleasant climate, great healthcare and diverse landscapes. But this person thinks it can only be fun if it's short term. They only spent, of course, a year there. So there you go. I hope that's helped with a bit more knowledge of Tenerife. As I say, it's not a place I know. I've never been there. Then the second thing I was asked about by a member was those pesky pronouns. So I'm going to show a video that I made about pronouns. I need to redo my videos because they're quite old now. So sorry about that. It is quite an old video, but it'll still give you an insight into direct object pronouns, which are a problem for everyone. So this was a few years ago. I think I've lost a few pounds since then, but never mind. That's good. Anyway, let's see.
Hola, soy yo, Vicky, otra vez. Having a few technical problems this morning. So anyway, aquí estoy. I'm here now. En el video de hoy voy a hablar de pronombres indirectos. So in today's video, I'm going to tell you about indirect object pronouns. Are you scared? Yeah? Are you scared? Don't be scared. So pronouns basically replace nouns. So we don't have to keep repeating the names of things, and it could be things or people, because nouns are the names of anything. Car, house, these are nouns. Names of people, Pedro, Carmen, they're nouns, or also any sort of object, the dog, the cat, etc. These are all nouns. And we use pronouns when we don't have to keep repeating the actual noun itself, the full. So once it's evident who or what we're talking about. So for example, if I'm talking about a cat or a dog, when it comes apparent who or what I'm talking about, I will then use it or him or her or me or you. Okay, these are pronouns. They replace nouns. And you will find that once you learn the way that pronouns work in Spanish, you will be able to understand so much more. Some funny little sentences that you look at and you think, oh my goodness, what the hell does that mean? Once you understand the way pronouns work, you will be able to understand those much more. So let's just look at the pronouns, the indirect object pronouns. Now, these are indirect object pronouns I'm going to explain. Direct object pronouns are in my level 2 Break the Language Barrier book. For the indirect object pronouns, I'm in the level 3 book on page 32. So if you have the book, that's where you will find this exercise. Don't worry if you don't have the book. You don't need the book to follow the video. You can follow it perfectly well. And if you want to buy the book, you can buy it on any Amazon site, through the website, or through my Facebook page. Okay, so let's have a look at indirect object pronouns in English and Spanish. So you see that in English, indirect object pronouns are me, you, him, her, us, you, them. Whereas in Spanish, it's me, te, le, nos, os, les. Okay, so they're the actual pronouns themselves, and later we're going to look at some example sentences. But what I want to do first is explain exactly what is an indirect object pronoun. ¿Qué es un pronombre indirecto? So we're going to take a sentence here. I gave the book to Pedro. I is the subject of that sentence, the person doing the action. I gave the book to Pedro. And of course, the action is gave. Yeah. And gave is from the verb to give, which in Spanish is dar. And I gave is the past tense, the preterite tense. So that's the subject is I, the action is gave, and it's what I gave that is the direct object. So the book is the direct object. And it's who I gave it to Pedro, is the indirect object. But this first sentence is not using pronouns, we're using the full names, the book to Pedro. So in Spanish, that would be di, I gave, el libro, the book, a Pedro, to Pedro. So that sentence is more or less the same order as it is in English. So that's not too bad. Where it gets complicated is when we want to replace the nouns with pronouns. I gave it to him. So notice that in English, you still use the verb first. I gave the book or I gave it. The it follows the verb in English. And the indirect object too, to him. So that's the order that we put our sentences, even using pronouns. Look at the difference with the Spanish sentence. Se lo di. So, in Spanish, in fact, you say to him, it, I gave. Because if it's a conjugated verb, like di, in other words, it's not the whole verb, the infinitive. If it was the whole verb, dar, you could put it onto the end, but we'll look at that as we go through some examples. But if it's a conjugated verb, in other words, if it's been put into a person and a tense, the pronouns go first. That is the biggest difference between English and Spanish pronouns and the way we use pronouns, the order. So once you sort of click that you're saying it the wrong way round, you could say, but it's the right way round for the Spanish. The other thing that's difficult here is, you see, really it should be le, lo, di, because him, in fact, is le. But what happens in Spanish is if you have two L pronouns together, le, lo, les, lo, le, la, we'll see when we come into doing some examples. The first one reverts to se. So instead of le, lo, di, we will say se, lo, di. Now you imagine if you saw that sentence, se, lo, di, and you didn't know how pronouns worked or understand about pronouns, you basically wouldn't have any idea of how to translate it. So it's very important. Pronouns are so important. And my recommendation always, whenever you're trying to translate into Spanish or think of how to put a sentence together, the verb, go to the verb first, sort your verb out. So if you were translating, I gave the book to Pedro, first of all, identify your verb. And the verb is gave. The person is I, first person singular. The tense is past tense. I gave, not I give, or I will give, or I would give. So identify your verb. What person is it? What tense is it? Then conjugate it and then fit the rest in around it. So your verb is always the most important thing in Spanish. Okay, so there you go. So see the difference, it's a big difference. Is I gave it to him becomes se lo di. Quite difficult until it clicks. Hopefully, throughout this video, we can make it click. Okay, so let's look at some examples. Now, number one, she told me. Now, I've put the it in brackets yesterday. Sometimes, like you could just say, oh, she told me yesterday. Sometimes the actual indirect object, the direct object pronoun, is implied and not spoken. She told me it. Now, or you could just say she told me, but the it is implied. So some people would look at that. If it was she told me, you think, oh, me is the direct object, but me is not the direct object because the direct object is what she told me. Maybe she told me a story. Maybe she told me the truth. Maybe she told me a lie. But she told something to me. So whatever she told me is the direct object, and me is in fact the indirect object. So we end up with me lo dijo ayer. To me, it, she told or said yesterday. ¿Vale? She told me it yesterday. Me lo dijo ayer. ¿Comprendes? Okay, let's look at number two. So this time we're starting with the Spanish. I'm sort of changing it up a little bit. Each one will be English first, then Spanish, and then Spanish first, then English. So, número dos. No nos los comprábamos a menudo. So, it's we, not because of the nos, because of the ending on the verb. So identify your verb first of all. The verb is comprábamos, from the verb comprar, in the imperfect tense. So we know it's we didn't buy or used to buy. Again, I put that in brackets. We could either put it in or not. And who did we buy them for? Us, ourselves. So we didn't buy, we didn't used to, or we didn't buy ourselves them often, or buy them for ourselves often. Yeah, and we know it's imperfect because it's something we did on a regular basis in the past, or we didn't do on a regular basis in the past, repeated action in the past. No nos los comprábamos a menudo. We didn't used to buy ourselves them often. Okay, número tres. The English is they didn't send it to us. So when we put it into Spanish, so it's they didn't send. So we take the verb to send, which could be enviar or mandar. You can use either. And they didn't send it to us. So in Spanish, we would say they didn't send us. So us, it, they didn't send. Yeah, so it's completely a different order. Yeah. To us, it, they didn't send. Gosh, it's very hot here at the moment. I feel like my hair, sorry, I go on about my hair sometimes, but hair's muy importante. Okay, number 4. So we start with the Spanish. No se lo hacemos cada día or todos los días. Yeah, now this is difficult because a lot of people look at the se and they'll think, oh, it's he or she. Go to the verb first. Hacemos. What's the ending on the verb? It's we. And it's a negative, so it's we don't make. Yeah, we don't make her, it. So it's, the order is completely different. So it's no for her, it, we make every day. Which in English, we would say we don't make it for her every day because we put our verb first. We don't make, then the pronouns. We don't make it for her, but in Spanish, we're saying for her, it, we don't make. And in fact, even the negative, the no, is at the beginning. So it's the order is different, so it's difficult. Another example. So in English, we've got, he paid you for it in cash. So the verb, what's the verb? Paid, from the verb to pay. The person, he, third person singular. He paid you for it in cash. So in Spanish, we'll be saying, you, it, he paid in cash. Te lo pago en efectivo. Yeah, comprendes? Anything you don't understand, any questions, please leave me a note in comments or send me a message. A nice message. Okay, numero 6. Now, this is also where it can get tricky, though in some ways easier. Let me explain. So let's look at the Spanish. Ella va a mandármelo mañana. We can use enviar instead of mandar. Now, also here we have 2 verbs. We have va, which is a conjugated verb from the verb ir, to go, present tense, third person singular. And then we have mandar in the infinitive, or the whole verb. So we can actually, we have a choice there. We can either put the melo in front of the conjugated verb like we have been doing, or we can tag it onto the end of the infinitive. Mandármelo. Not both. I mean, we have to do one or the other. Ella me lo va a mandar mañana, or ella va a mandármelo mañana. She is going to send me it tomorrow. Yeah? Vale? So notice as well, when you put it on the end of an infinitive, it actually tags onto the end. Okay. Gosh, I've got to do something with my... It's just driving me mad. I think I'm just pulling it the wrong way. Well, I think that's better. Is it better? I don't know. Okay. All right. So, number 7, numero 7. I sang it for him. So in Spanish, we will say, for him, it, I sang. Se lo canté. So that's one of those that should really be le lo canté, but we can't have the 2 L pronouns together. So the first one changes to se. Se lo canté. I sang it for him. Now we've got another one using an infinitive. Tuvimos que vendérselo. Or because we've got a conjugated verb with tuvimos, we could also say se lo tuvimos que vender. So again, not both, you have to choose one or the other. Also, it can't go in the middle, so you can't say tuvimos que se lo vendimos. No, either has to go before the conjugated verb or tagged on to the infinitive. Tuvimos que vendérselo or se lo tuvimos que vender. So we had to sell it to them, or the order, I mean, you can put it on the end there, which is good, or you could say to them, we had to sell. So you choose which is easier for you to remember. Another one like that, you can send it to me by email. So puedes, you can, conjugated verb. So you could put the melo in front. Or also you have an infinitive with mandar or enviar, so you can put it on the end. So you can either say, me lo puedes mandar por email, or puedes mandármelo por email, o correo electrónico también. Okay. Vale. Número 10. You must buy it for yourself. Again, we've got a conjugated verb and an infinitive, so we've got a choice of two ways to put the pronouns. Te lo debes comprar or debes comprártelo. ¿Vale? You must buy it for yourself. Or for yourself, you must buy. Te lo debes comprar or debes comprártelo. Número 11. He didn't need to pay us for it the day before yesterday. So that's quite complicated, isn't it? But look how much shorter it is in Spanish. No necesito pagárnoslo anteayer. Or again, because we've got a conjugated verb, you could say, no nos lo necesito pagar anteayer. Much shorter in Spanish. Sentences tend to be shorter. So once we click that it's different, it's actually easier. I know you probably don't believe me, but it's true. It's very simplistic, but it's English that's more complicated, really. So we have to get our brains around that, really. Okay, número 12, present tense. Why do you give it to me? ¿Por qué me lo das? So we don't have a choice there because we only have a conjugated verb. We don't have an infinitive, so the me lo has got to go in front of the das. It can't go anywhere else. ¿Por qué me lo das? Present tense of the verb give. Now, this is another time when numero 13, another time when we can put these pronouns on the end, is when we're using an ing word. So she is preparing it for herself. Now, remember, they don't use ing words so much in Spanish as we do in English. So you could just use the simple present tense and say, se lo preparó. Preparar, because it's she, sorry, that should be a noun. Se lo prepará. Or you could use the ing word and say, ella se lo está preparando. And because it's an ing word, though, you can also tag it onto the end like you can with the infinitive. Ella está preparándosela. Se-lo. Vale? So 3 ways you could say that sentence. Número 14. He used to buy them for himself. Él se los compraba. Imperfect, it's something he used to do, repeated basis in the past, so it's the imperfect tense. Compraba, yeah. Él se los compraba. He used to buy them for himself, or he, for himself, them, he used to buy. Vale? And the last one, another ing word. I am keeping them for you. So again, you can use the simple present. Te los guardo. Yeah. For you, them, I keep. Or go for it with the the ing word and say, te los estoy guardando o estoy guardándotelos. Okay? So it's a good idea to go back through, maybe play the video again and stop at each sentence and see if you can make sense of it. If you've got the book, obviously, those...
Okay, so there you go. There's pronouns, indirect object pronouns explained. Now, as I say, that video was a couple of years ago. It must have been in summer. My hair was doing my head in as usual. Now I just put it up. But that was in the real heat of the summer, you know. I can't believe I actually had makeup on because I rarely wear makeup this time of year. Just because it slides all over your face in the end. Anyway, so if you are interested in learning Spanish, of course, you can either come for classes or, you know, Zoom classes. It doesn't matter where you are in the world. We can organize Zoom classes. Or if your budget doesn't run to Zoom classes, having said that, you do get a discount on the Zoom classes. If you're a member, if you join the channel, as I say, for $2.99 a month, you get a discount on your classes. There is also a course, like a video course, that's a lot cheaper. So contact me by email if you want all the details. Or if you want to learn at home, you can buy those books. That was level 2 book that I was looking at there. But we start from beginners, break the language barrier, level 1, level 2, level 3, level 4. There is a 4. I don't know why it's not there. There's also a couple of books that are like bilingual storybooks. Now, if you do Zoom classes, your book is included in the price. If you do the video course, you buy your book separately. Yeah. So yeah, if you're interested in Spanish classes. Now, if you're not watching the, you know, or if you're interested in coming to live in Spain, in any area of Spain, I can help you with your visas, etc. I do that service as well. Again, email me at Vicky Marie Chats at gmail.com, and that is Vicky with an I. I will actually, let me see if I can put up the email. Hang on. I can probably put it up. Anyway, you'll be able to find it. If you don't know the email, just leave a comment under this video or any of my videos. I'll get the comment and I'll put the email there. Yeah, email me. Just see, no obligation. Thing is, anything you inquire about, there's no obligation until you start wanting, you know, me to actually do some things. Your first consultation is always free as far as visas are concerned, etc. I can help with all those things. And yeah, if you want just general advice on either living in Spain or on Spanish, any aspect of Spanish, your most economical option is to join this channel, $2.99 a month. And then every Friday, the last Friday of every month, I do this special video answering whatever questions have been sent in by members. Okay, so that's it. Thank you so much. And I will see you really soon, as always, in the next video. So, te veo muy pronto en el próximo video. In fact, I'll be back later on today, but with a crime video talking about Nicola Bulley. And vale, te veo luego. Y muchas gracias por mirar. Don't forget to hit the like and also subscribe. Adios.